Welcome to CENG 291 Engineering in Society. I am Dr. Mispa Roxton from the Department of Chemical Engineering, and I'm taking you on the tutorial for the structure of your project report. I believe by now you understand what is expected of you from this course and you are thinking about a project. So after you have gone out there to find a problem and you've collected some data on it and done some analysis, you are supposed to present it in a report. So basically in this tutorial, I'll take you through the structure of the report and how to make your report very good as an engineer. For the structure of the report, this report is a technical report that is expected from every engineer. When we go out there and work and we collect data and analyze processes and systems, do designs, we are supposed to communicate it in a report. And so that is what we are going to do for this course. And for the report, you would technically need a cover page. You need to acknowledge those who help you along the line. You need to summarize everything that you have done in the report in an abstract. You have to have a table of contents that will tell us everything that is contained in the report. The main body of the report also will need an introduction. You need to tell us about the materials and methods, how you went about collecting data for the project. You need to present your results and discuss them, and then you conclude and then make recommendations. You also need to make a list of references that you have cited in the work. And also, if you have some data that would give further explanation or present more details to somebody who is interested in the work, you put that in the appendices. So that is the general outline for a technical report. But what goes into each of these, we would look at it on the subsequent slide. So then what should be on your cover page? The cover page will contain the information that will tell us who wrote the report and where the report is coming from. So on this cover page, you have the university's name, the college, the department, the title of the report, your name, your index number, and then the month and year in which you are submitting. So this is example of a title page. So you see that the name of the university is there. You see the college, you see the department, you see the course name, and then the topic that the students worked on. And then you see the student's name and index number, the month and the year in which the work was done. Then you also, for the acknowledgement page, you need to acknowledge those who helped you or contributed to the work in every way. But it shouldn't be more than a paragraph. So you've been given an example on the slide. So you would like to thank such a person for helping you in carrying out your project and so forth. It should be brief and it should be just one paragraph. From the acknowledgement, you have your table of contents. The table of contents is supposed to tell us everything in your report. You can generate this automatically from when you are doing your word processing. So you should go further to learn how to do this with Microsoft Word or whichever software you are using to do your to write your report. Then in the abstract, the abstract summarizes the whole work. When one takes your abstract, they should understand what you did, why you want to do the work, the objectives you set for yourself, how you did the work, what were your main results, your conclusions, and findings from the work. So the abstract is a standalone portion of your work that if anybody takes, they can understand everything that you have done in your report. So it's a summary of the report. It includes the purpose, the methods, the results, the conclusion. But all this is a summary. So you are not going to write anything long here. And there's you must be straight to the point and give only the essential points in the report. Then it must follow chronologically everything you have in the report. And your abstracts for this course shouldn't be more than a page, a half a page. Okay, and you are not adding any new information to the report in the abstract. It just contains everything that is in your report. From the abstract, you also have to list the tables and figures that you use in the work. As you write your report, you may put in some tables and some figures. You give titles to these tables and figures and you number them. So you need to list all of them here so that we can refer to the pages on which we can find each of these titles for your tables and figures. So this is an example. So you have the list of tables. You have table 3.1. It has its title, values of parameters used for calculating drought and vertical forces. Then you can see the page number. So if I'm looking for this table, I'll straightforward go to what? Page 14. And the same for your figures. Then we come to the introduction. The introduction gives a brief background to the project. So for this course, you are supposed to give a brief introduction to the course and your specific project. I emphasize this because over the years, we've seen that students write about their program, but they don't write about their specific project that they are working on. So you must give a brief background to the course and then your specific project. This background answers why you are doing the project. Okay, and then this leads you to give the objectives of the project that you are doing. So here you conclude your introduction by stating your what your aims and objectives for the project, and this will guide you throughout the report. Your aims and objectives actually will have to be seen in how you collected your data, in how you present your analysis, and then how you conclude. Okay. Then from the introduction, you go to materials and methods. So this is like you are telling a story. You are telling us why you did the work and then what you are aiming at. And then now you are telling us how you went about collecting data and then arriving at your findings. So you have to describe the problem. But for CENG, you are supposed to identify a problem in your locality that you want to provide a solution to. So you go and then you write about how you identify the problem, how did you prepare your map, how you did you go about collecting the data, all the materials that and resources you use, you have to describe them here in the materials and then method. For the then from materials and methods, you go to your results and discussion. So you collected some data, you would have to organize it. So you have to describe your community because you are solving a problem for a specific community. So you have to tell us about that community. And then you put your map. So you are supposed to generate a map for your locality. And mind you, on the map, let us know your legend, let us know your title, let us know your scale, and then if possible give us the coordinates so that we can properly identify your locality. You have to describe the nature and characteristics of your problem here. You have to describe your area of engineering because that is where you are going to take your application from, and then how you want the problem to be solved. You have to go into a little detail here. This is where your understanding of the work is seen. So you don't just have to present your problem, talk about your area, and just list there's several solutions that are there. But which particular solution do you think, from the limited knowledge you have of the field, which solution would you propose and how would you want it to be um, implemented? This should be seen here in your results and discussion. Then from there, from in this results and discussion, that is where your tables and figures will come, because you organize your data into tables and figures. So here you should, I just want to give you a few tips on how to put your tables and figures in your report. Each figure and table should have a number and a title. And when you put a table in the work, you must refer to it in your text. So you don't just put a table in the work and there's nothing in the text referring to the table. Although when you look at the table, one must understand exactly what the table is presenting. You must refer to the table or figure in the text. And so this is an example of a table. Usually for tables, we put the titles at the top. So you have the number there. So you have table one, and then you have the title of table one. That is what the number of phones stolen from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. You see, so you see that your table has a complete heading. And in doing your table, I just want to remind you that you should use distinguishing fonts for your headings to distinguish them from what the members of the table. Okay. Then also for the figures, we usually um, put the caption beneath the figure as is shown in this slide. From your results and discussion, we go to the conclusion and recommendation. Your conclusions would clearly state your findings in your work, and you conclude on your objectives. You would have to conclude on your tables, your findings in the work as um, the objectives that you set from the beginning. So your conclusions are not things you are going to bring from elsewhere, but it should be directly related to the objectives that you set. And also your recommendation should be from what you have found in the work that will lead to the solution of the problem that you have set out to investigate. Then referencing. After your conclusions and recommendations, you have to provide a list of references that you cited in your work. Referencing is a very important thing in every technical writing, and you must learn it right from this. So you must practice it from this course because you need it throughout your life as an engineer. The referencing, it serves as a guide to any reader who wants to refer to the previous works that have been done on the subject. It's also a means to appreciate the work that others have done. If you don't um, provide good referencing, you'll be stealing people's ideas. And this is a very, very, very um, important thing in academia. If you take people's work and you don't make cite them properly, is seen as you have stolen somebody's work. So it's just like theft in academia. So you should be very careful to refer to all your um, sources of information. You must make cite them properly in text and also in the reference list. In referencing, when we are making a reference in the write-up, you need to put the author's surname and then the year of publication. If there are more than there's more than one author, then you list, if there are two, you put both their surnames and then what the date that the publication was made there. If there are more than two authors, then you put the surname of the first author and then etal in italics and then the year. If one author work in the same year is cited, you have different publications from the same author in the same year, then you have to add a lowercase letter to it to distinguish them. You see examples on the next slide. So if you are referencing, for instance, in text, you can refer to Agojo's work. For instance, if I have, according to Agojo 2003A, this means that you have more than one work of Agojo in 2003 in your report. So you report one as A, the other will be B, and so forth. You can also cite somebody's work by putting the statement and then you put the author's surname and then the year in a bracket at the end of the statement before your full stop, not after your full stop. And then this is another example for citation in text. So equations, for example, equations developed by Batplanch et al. So there you put the year in bracket, can be used to, then you complete your sentence. So these are examples of how you can do in-text referencing. And and at the end, when you are listing your references, because there are different types of publications from which you can get your information, we have different ways of listing them. So if you have a journal publication, you need the author's surname, then the author's initials, then the year of publication. You need a title of the article, the journal, the volume, the issue, and then the page numbers. So that as is given to you in the example here. If you are making reference from a book, then you still need the author's surname, the initials of the author's other names, the year of the publication, the title. You need the publisher's name. So here, for instance, you have a book published by what? Morgan RPC in what? 1986. The title of that book is Soil Erosion and Conservation. Published by who? Longman, and this publisher can be found in the UK. So this is how you cite from a book, and you can, as you go on, you see the different ways to cite from different types of resources that are available to you. A caution here is when you are citing a material from the internet that is not published in a book, you are supposed to still give the author, the year, the title of whatever you have read. And most importantly, you have to give the URL address and then also the date on which you accessed it, as can be seen in the reference here on the slide. So be careful. This is a skill that you will develop over time. You need this to write all your thesis, your undergraduate thesis. You need it to write all the technical reports that you ever write as an engineer. So you have to learn how to do your references properly. Don't just put the address there without a title. Students usually do that. Just put www dot something and then there's no title. Every article you find on the internet has an author. It has a title, and you can get the address and then the date on which you access. This gives you a full picture of how to find this document. Also, when we write reports, after a reference, we can put the appendix. In the appendix, what do we find? For this particular course, you put a copy of your questionnaire. If you found your problem through a questionnaire, then you have to provide a copy of your questionnaire in the appendix. You also put any additional maps or any additional information that you think will be useful. The copies of your introduction letters that the department will give you, you also put it here. If you have tables, you collected so much data and you put the tables and figures, the summaries in your work, you can provide the raw data here so that we can see that you actually went out there to collect all this data. So the appendix actually ends the structure of your report. So we just want to look at a few things about what to put in the report, because when we are assessing your report, we'll be looking at the technical content as well as how well you wrote the report. So for a good technical communication, you must be clear and straight to the point. You shouldn't use words that are ambiguous. You should, when you use symbols and abbreviations, you should first define them before you use them so that your works can easily be understood. Your figures and tables should be easily understood. So you use proper captions and you use proper headings for all your tables and figures. You must also be concise. You don't just have to write because whatever you found on the internet, you cut and paste. You must read through and take only what is relevant for your specific work. You must be able to answer who, what, why, where, and how in this work. But don't oversimplify too. Don't just, my solution is you write one line and that is your solution to your problem. You're supposed to think through it carefully. So you must clearly give the steps to finding your solution. So you must be concise, but you should also make sure that you don't leave out very important information. Then in technical writing, we avoid the use of personal pronouns. We know you did the work. So in your report, we don't want to see I did this, I went there. No. We want to know what was done. So you use a passive voice to write your report. This was done. You see, so you don't go like I did that, but you report on what you did. So this and that was done. So you have to use a passive voice in writing your report, and avoid words that you don't understand. Most of you are just starting your studies in the particular fields of engineering, so don't use too many technical words that you don't understand. Write in simple plain language. Then also guide your reader. When you are writing your report, it's like you are telling a story. So you, in your introduction, will tell them what you plan to tell them, and then you tell them everything in the main text, and then finally your conclusions will tell them about what you told them. So it's like you are telling a story. Make sure that you structure your work so that it flows like a nice story, and the pieces all will fit together. Then guide your reader through the work. So you state your purpose clearly at the beginning, you get straight to the point, and then you emphasize the major ideas in the work. And you should present the information that you found from both what you have read and then what you found through your real world uh, observations. Okay, and then you should organize your work under appropriate headings. You should use subheadings properly, and then use tables and bullets or numbering to portray the information that you are sending off properly. I hope this will be useful, and I hope that we would have very good reports from you. If you have any questions and any concerns on this, you can contact your CENG coordinator for further explanation. Thank you very much.